Good night to you, our viewers, and welcome back to this week's episode of Cricket Nation. I am your host, Gary Mathre, with me, my co-host, Jamal James. Jamal, lots of cricket to talk about. CPL, biggest party in sport. I'm certainly sure St. Lucia's thoroughly enjoyed their time in St. Lucia. The Kings were really, really dominant at home. And they maintained in terms of, they maintained the kingdom.
Yes,
Yes, they did.
it felt good to be a part of it. From the come box and just being in the crowd, it was something special. Solutions
It
really
was.
came out
It was.
to support the home team, and they seemed thankful for it. They appreciated that, and they gave us some victories.
Yes, they really did appreciate it. Like, matter of fact, they did show the appreciation after the game by just walking around and just mingling with the fans. I think which is customary for them after they played the home series. But I think that was fantastic in terms of the way they went out and played. They really, really dominated at home. Other than losing against Trinidad, they came back and they really bounced back and show that home turf is where they're supposed to rule. You know, just like you see Trinidad is playing in Trinidad. Hopefully, St. Lucia could hand them a loss in Trinidad tomorrow. But we'll see. But yes, let's talk about the first game, Kings versus the Warriors. We have the highlights. I'm sure our technicians have the highlights. They could just play that so we could see the Kings.
In St. Lucia, I misjudged one the other night. You know, this downward feeling down here, it gets stopped by the wind.
Ben McDermott, strong heater. They started off quite well. 36 in 3.2 before he got hold up. 30 from 17 deliveries, and then Keon Gaster just picking up 2 early wickets. And Caribbean, a beautiful delivery there, just bowling down Moeen Ali.
O'Shane Thomas got amongst the wickets
He
early
did.
on in the piece. But
Then
then it
we
was
see
this man.
Mario Shepherd. The sticker getting out. It's 180 for 5 at that time. Well, they had a target of 203. Johnson Charles starting off well, just getting out early there by Jediah Blades, picking up his first wicket in his first T20 game.
Seifert really started the party.
He did start the party. But Akim Ogis, what an inning that was. 50 from 19 deliveries. At the time, it was the quickest 50 for this year's edition.
An outstanding innings from the young talent. Geese.
Standing innings of 73.
Good catch by Shepherd. That was a pivotal moment in the game because it almost started a procession, wicket after wicket after wicket. You almost felt as if Guyana, they were really trying to claw their way back into the game, but with so much time left in the innings, there was no way that the Kings were going to
Let them come back. I think they did. The Guyana came back and then kind of sort of put a little pressure on the Kings, and then the Kings, obviously came back and just finished up well. But how about that innings from Akim Ogis? I thought it was a very, very intelligent inning. Just looking at the way he played, hitting the ball into pockets, ensuring that you don't hit the ball to players, manipulating the field, playing for 60. I thought it was fantastic in terms of how he played the spin, how he played the pace. Really looked like a compact player, and looked like he's sort of kicking on from strength to strength. It was very, very impressive in terms of the way he went about playing. I thought what was really, really good about the inning was the sort of intelligence that he showed in terms of how he went about playing. And matter of fact, there was a lot of bravery because he went after one of the most experienced bowlers, Imran Taher, and took him apart.
It was the innings that we've been waiting for.
From
His
him.
breakout innings. And we've spoken about this young man so often, and every time he just seems to get better and better. We mentioned that the West Indies, they've invested in him, sent him to India, exposed him to playing the spin, coaching at a high level, and we've seen the rewards of that. You mentioned taking on Taher, there was Moeen Ali.
Yeah.
a spinner of good repute from England.
Yes.
Gudakesh Moti, one of our middle overs magicians for West Indies in international cricket. So that was a quality
Quality
team.
lineup. Yeah.
And here is Akim Ogis using his feet, pulling out the sweep, rocking back and punching, pulling. He had everything.
Yes, yes, and for me, he was finding the gaps with precision. Every single shot he played came out of the middle of the bat. From the very first time he came in, very first shot, you could have seen that he was ready, and you could have just seen from the first boundary, you could have just felt that he got a lot more comfortable and started telling himself, hey, I belong here. And he played like he belonged at that level. And like I said, you look at the guy in the bowling lineup, and it was a quality knock of 73, and it was not full, it was not slow, it was really, really quick. Matter of fact, he had the quickest half century for this year's edition, prior to his teammate surpassing him with that. So Tim Seifert, in terms of the 100 that he scored in the last game. So I thought it was a really, really good inning. And then again, we did say in the last game that he should have stayed at number 3. They kept him at number 3.
Just coming to that.
We should have stayed at number 3. They kept him at number 3. I did ask for Seifert to stay at the top of the order. Now he's repaying that faith that they've shown in him. I thought it was he's done very, very well in terms of assisting Johnson Charles at the top of the order. It's not only Johnson Charles looking to fire, but they've been really dominant in the power play overs. Matter of fact, one of the most dominant teams in the power play overs, especially whether they're chasing or actually setting a total. They've been very, very dominant in the power play overs. So
actually, in one of those games, they were 86 for 1 in the
exactly,
power play.
86 for 1.
So that was amazing.
I thought amazing stuff by them. And what was good to see, as soon as Johnson Charles got out, Akim just came on and just continue piling the pressure on the opponents in the power play. So it just goes to show when the power play, the emphasis is on winning the power play when you're batting or bowling. So bowling, look to get a couple of wickets in the power play, you win the power play, maybe it sets you up for the rest of the game. And it's the very same thing. It's the very same thing when they're batting. They actually look to win the power play. They actually look to dominate and sort of. And that's what they've been able to do. So super stuff from the St. Lucia Kings in terms of how they've gone out to play, how they've dominated at home. Matter of fact, they've played like, they played like they belong here, right?
Yes.
And for me, I thought that was really, really good from them, because that's what you want your teams to do. When they come home, they dominate home turf, and the Kings did that.
But I was thinking that if this is a team of Kings, then is Akim Ogis the heir apparent to the throne? Is it just a matter of time before this young man will be maybe catapulted to the leadership?
Well, if he continues, they have a couple of years to go. If he continues in that vein, I really do see that possibility. We all know that he has leadership qualities. He's captain the West Indies youth team. So we've seen him captain various teams. He's been the vice captain of St. Lucia senior team.
Yes.
So for me, I do think he has leadership. I know him very well, and I do think he's a good presence in your dressing room. So for me, maybe in a few years he continues along that path.
Gary, I'm only asking because the talk of the town is that there are so many aging players around the CPL. So it's a matter of time before someone has to take the punt and just install the youth at the helm.
Right. Well, we'll come back to that. We have the next set of highlights between TKR and the Falcons. TKR and the Falcons played there, as you could see, Rakim Cornwall getting out brilliant deliveries by Amir. Amir has been a revelation for the Trinidad team.
Yes, they've retained faith in him, but it shows the importance of a left-arm swing bowler at the top of the order.
Yes, very much so.
And even Akil Hussein, our champion spinner, had a good night.
Very much so. I said, that's where the beautiful catch been taken by St. Lucian McKenny Clark, and I tell you, he's been fantastic in the field for the Trinbago Night Riders. Another beautiful delivery there.
Many persons are suggesting that is the catch of the tournament. They don't believe that they'll see anything better than that.
No, at least not yet. But at least he's pulling his weight some way. He's getting some opportunities to play. target of 147. First wicket went down.
But it was these two gentlemen, Cathy and Hales.
Hales, yeah. Cathy played a fantastic inning.
And it's what you want to see. Young West Indies player, home conditions, getting some runs. A World Cup is looming. You want gentlemen to put their hands up to claim a spot.
You can see Puran is getting back in nick. He's had some scores in the last few games. He started this tournament off slow, a little bit on the slow side, but he's been able to get some runs under his belt. That would do a world of good for his confidence. And I'm certainly sure the Trinidad franchise is very happy to see him getting amongst the runs. I know, like I said, he started off a little bit slow in the tournament, and now he's sort of kicking on and picking up and getting a couple of scores. I think he's gotten a couple of half centuries in the last 3 games that he's played, and got a couple of stats. So I think that's really, really good for Trinidad. What's good for them also, you could also see Kyron Pollard firing down in the middle. He looks like he's in good touch also, a senior man, and still firing down in the middle. And they have a couple of youngsters coming in. You see the youngsters in terms of the left hammer from, can't remember his name clearly, but he just picked up 3 wickets yesterday. So they're under 23s, those guys who were part of the not the Global T20, but the Breakout League. You could actually see those guys are actually getting a lot more comfortable playing those big games at CPL level.
But I was actually thinking about that because you mentioned that at least McKenny Clark is getting the opportunity.
Some opportunities.
But what do you make of the fact that he's in the team, not really bowling many overs? He's been playing matches, about 4 of them thus far, and he has not even bowled 3 overs.
Yeah, he hasn't bowled 3 overs. But again, we've seen, you look at the bowling lineup, and then when you look at Andre Russell, in terms of the fast bowling quartet, you look at Andre Russell, you look at Amir, right? And if those guys bowl their quota, it's 8. Then you have 4 from the mystery spinner, right?
Yes.
That's already
Usman
12,
Tariq.
right? Usman Tariq. Then you have Narayan for another 4.
Yes.
That's 20 already. And then they have to split the other 4 between the 2 youngsters.
Yep, Akil Hussain.
And Akil Hussain also.
That's another 4.
So I do think in terms of him being able to sort of get 4, they have to be really, they have to be under the pump for him to get some overs. But I'm just happy that he's part of it. I'm happy that he's actually getting into the playing 11, and he could only learn from there, whether it be 1 or 2 overs, but he could only kick on from there and learn on those guys.
I get that.
I mean, he has the stewardship of guys like of his head coach, Bravo, and I do think he could be a very good all-rounder too. I do think that he has some very good batting prowess. For me, I do think that he's a very good all-round player, and if he develops his batting further, he could be very, very, very good.
I get that from the solution point of view. You have a talent like a McKenny Clark in and amongst West Indies greats, the Bravos, the Pollards. This is our T20 great men, Narayan, men who have won a World Cup. So him soaking up in that atmosphere is great. However, from the Breakout League perspective, going into the CPL, you have a lot of players who they really shone in the Breakout. And we've been expecting that since they got picked in the CPL, that they would have had a better opportunity to do something. But McKenny Clark is just fielding. We saw Jediah Blades from the Breakout got onto the West Indies team, and he's only played one match.
One match is only played.
So he was a T20 international player,
which is why in our last edition I did say we really cannot use the CPL as development for those guys, because owners own people are owning their franchises, and you really cannot tell them who to play and what to, because everybody wants to win. Because if you own in a franchise, it's really difficult for me to come to you and tell you, hey, you have to develop those guys. Now, they've already put in the rule that you have to play the under 23 players. That don't necessarily mean that, okay, well, if you have to play the under 23 players and then you have backup, or you have, in terms of when you look at the bowling lineup that Trinidad has, and then you feel like, well, we play McKenny, and if we need him for 1 over here and there, depending on the situation of the game, right, we give it to him. right? And then he plays. But for me, I like the environment that he's in. I do think that he's going to go from that. He's going to develop from that. Just being part of the training, just being in and around those guys. Everybody has their turn. His turn is going to come. I really do believe that his turn is going to come. But I do think just being around that Trinidad franchise would do him a world of good. If he's there, just soaking up as much information as he possibly can, and I'm certainly sure. Most of the times you could see Bravo is in his ear, just ensuring that he guide him properly. So, and that's what you're looking for from those guys, guys like Pollard, guys like Bravo, just sort of guiding those youngsters. So for me, I do believe he might be learning a lot more behind the scenes as opposed to playing. So when he gets the opportunity, yes, when he does get the opportunity, I'm certainly sure he will do good with it. But for the moment, I do the Trinidad franchise feels like maybe he's not at the point where we can give him more than 2 or 3 overs, or maybe more than 1, So maybe they're just bringing him along nicely and slowly for when he's needed. And I guess nothing happens overnight. It is a period of time for you to get to certain places. And I do believe if he does stay there and he takes that opportunity and soak up as much information as he can, I think it would do him a world of good.
It's a fair point, and no disagreements from me on that one.
Yes. So let's move on to the Kings versus the Patriots. We have the highlights of that. Kings versus the Patriots.
In one game, Rustin Chase didn't even get the opportunity to bowl. It was good to see that he was given some overs.
What do you think of Shamsi? Listen, early on, I do believe Shamsi was not pulling his weight as a senior spinner. But so far in the St. Lucia games, apart from the Trinidad game, I think Shamsi has bounced back really, really well. Yes. Matter of fact, he's been bowling very economically.
Yes, he's been phenomenal. In fact, in one of the last games he bowled, his full quarter, picked up 2 for 17. So on a batting track like that, where you just see balls continuously just going out of the park, for a spinner to hold his own on a track which does not offer much deviation from the surface, you must credit him.
Yes, very much so. Like I said, I do think that Shamsi has come back well. I mean, there was some criticism in the first couple of games when he was going at over 10 runs and over, but I do believe that he's come back well, and he's been very, very important for the Kings, especially in those middle overs. I think it's been very essential for them in terms of bowling economically, picking up a couple of wickets here and there for them.
Yes, we understood that he had big shoes to fill because he's replacing Noor from Afghanistan, who was the leading wicket taker in the CPL last year, who played for the Kings. A like-for-like replacement. Both of them bowled with the left arm, both of them bowled the back of the hand, but Noor bowls at a much quicker pace than Shamsi. So when I saw that he was really going the distance, taking some serious licks, as we would say in St. Lucia, I really felt that he needed to improve in that area, improving on his pace. And I felt that ever since he had done so, and he hasn't been shy to experiment with the variation, then he's become more successful.
Yeah. But what I saw for the first time in St. Lucia, that the spinners, especially the wrist spinners, were able to extract some turn off of that surface. I do believe that helped Shamsi in terms of his economy rate, because he was getting the ball to spin both ways. And like I said, I do believe that he picked up the right pace to bowl at different times and different batters. Right? So he's now getting into the tournament. So he started off the tournament a little bit slow, and that's what you want. You don't want guys starting off quickly and then at the important stages is when they're losing that sort of form. So you want them to, I think he's picking up form at the right time for the St. Lucia Kings. So for me, I do think, like I said earlier, he's an important cog in their wheel in terms of bowling those middle overs and providing that variation, spinning the ball both ways to the batsmen. So for me, I think that's very, very essential that he's able to get his mojo back and get his bowling back to a point where the captain could actually trust him to bowl his four overs, because we see there's a little bit of, without Alzari Joseph, there's a little bit of inexperience in the bowling lineup, because you still have Keon Gaster bowling, and he's bowling at difficult stages, I might add. He's bowling the power play, and he comes to bowl towards the back end. So you really need those guys with that experience to sort of come good, and I really believe that his 4 overs quite essential. David Visa, which is the captain, who is not shown too much form with the ball lately. I mean, he started off the tournament quite well, but so far he's been going for a few. So hopefully he gets that back. So for the Kings to feel like that they have their bowling where they would like it, where they would like it. So far as Harry Joseph is out and injured, that they would like it back on the back. O'Shane,
but he did come back for that last game.
Yeah.
But how did you feel when you saw O'Shane and Keon Gasser going the distance? O'Shane bowled a 10 ball over. We considered about 43, the most expensive by a Kings ball.
Yeah, but well, we have that highlight coming up. So when we get to that highlight,
yes,
we'll talk about that. But with that being said, in terms of the Patriots, what do you make of their campaign this year? I do believe, for me, I think Holder has been one of the bright spots for them. You have the Bidesi, another bright spot for them. But they've not been able to finish games well. They've not been able to finish games well. So what do you make of how they've performed so far in the tournament?
It almost feels like there is a shackle, a heavy weight on this team. For me, it's synonymous to what has happened with Guyana, but just in the reverse. That period where Guyana were the perennial bridesmaids, always doomed and destined to be second fiddle. This team just seems doomed and destined to be the whipping boys of the tournament. And they need to find a way to get those shackles off. They really flattered to deceive at the start of the tournament. You just felt like, oh my goodness, maybe something is happening here. Maybe this could be the year of the Patriots. When you saw Holder was coming to his own as leader, showing his batting prowess, bowling well, you really felt that, okay, maybe something is happening. I felt, and I think you expressed similar concerns, the batting is too top-heavy.
Yeah.
A lot of specialist batters there who are equipped, well-skilled at batting in the top of the order, but no middle-order specialists. In recent times, they have brought in Mohammad Rizwan, the Pakistani international. He's arrested some of those ailments. He got a half-century in the previous game, but still, that was not enough there for them to post great totals.
But I do think when you look at the Patriots batting, you look at the quality that they have from 1 to about 5, the quality that they possess. There's a lot of quality in that batting to have to post some totals, because let's compare the Kings batting, the top 5, to the St. Lucia Kings top 5. So you look at the St. Lucia Kings top 5, and you look at the Patriots top 5, and there's a lot of quality. When you look at those guys, right, you look at Fletcher, Evan Lewis, Holder, you have Kyle Mayers,
you had Riley Russo, Alec
Afanez. That's a really, really good batting in the top 6. So for me, I think that they've underperformed in terms of the batters. I'm certain sure that those batters would love to have performed a lot better than they have. We've not seen the kind of performance that we've seen before from Kyle Mayers, right? So that has sort of hindered them a little bit, especially with the bat. We've not seen what we were able to see. We've been used to seeing from Evan Lewis. He's gotten some stats, but not able to carry on. Fletcher is doing Fletcher things. He's performing well. We do realize sometimes after the power play, he sort of slows down.
He can carry it alone.
Yes, he can carry it on. But at the end of the day, I do think that there is enough quality in the top 5 or the top 6 of that Patriots squad for them to have performed a lot better. But this year, it does not look like the batsmen are firing. We've seen Evan Lewis play a couple of games and been out on the bench. But we'll talk more about the Patriots when we come back. We're due for a break. We'll take that break, and then we'll come back and talk more cricket.
Need to open a bank account? There's no time to make the drive to stand in line. Get ready. Opening an account with Republic On Board is easy from anywhere at any time, even while waiting for a food order. So you don't have to skip lunch. Republic On Board. Fast, easy, secure. Visit www.republiconboard.com to open your account today.
PBF, as I understand, it's performance-based financing. I think it's very good because at a time when the country is suffering from issues of non-communicable disease, especially in the areas of hypertension and diabetes, the outreach program, I think, indicates the government and generally the attempt to curb these diseases. Well, I am not diabetic or hypertensive. It was good that the test was done, and I went through it and proved it. And for me also that it was done free. I didn't have to go to a medical doctor or go to Castries or whatever. And for communities where ancillary, for example, some people may not afford the money to afford to go to a private doctor. And so having that outreach where they have no cost is borne to get the services, I think it's wonderful.
This September, the world's fastest, strongest and fiercest athletes converge on Tokyo. Over 2,000 competitors, nearly 200 nations, one global stage, one ultimate goal, glory. At the center of it all, Olympic champion Julian Alfred ready to strike World Championship gold. The drama, the passion, the unforgettable moments. Catch it all, exclusively on Winners TV. World Athletics Championships, Tokyo 25, September 12th to 21st. Be there when history is made, exclusively on Winners TV, where champions play.
As an interior designer, knowing how to use colors makes a difference with any decor, from the muted, sophisticated tones to our bold Caribbean colors. The paint I turn to every time is Kaleidoscope Paints. Their computerized matching facility has a broader color range than those other brands. The quality, durability, and superior coverage are world-class. With Kaleidoscope Paints, I don't just paint walls, I paint stories, and each one is a masterpiece. Kaleidoscope Paints, my first choice every time.
Kaleidoscope Paints, the #1 choice of the Caribbean.
Good night and welcome back to more Cricket Nation. Prior to the break, Jamal and I we were discussing the St. Lucia Kings, well, the entire tournament, well, the entire home leg so far. And St. Lucia totally dominated the home leg. But we go on to the TKR versus the Royals. We have those highlights. We'll go on, we'll look at that. Royals have not been able to, pick up any sort of momentum.
Yeah, so one of the stalwarts, the cock, was expected of him to maybe arrest the dire situation, the lack of run scoring, and he had an early dismissal. Aline was impressive, another member of the breakout league. Got a 41 or 36. It's good to see when young players get the opportunities. And Rutherford did show some good skill. What I love about Rutherford is that he hits the ball offside as well.
Yes.
He's not just a leg side bully.
Yeah, he hits it well for the offside. Good catch being taken on the boundary there.
Captain Rothman Powell doing what we've come to
Always
expect of him.
yeah.
So would you pencil Rothman Powell in for the World Cup team?
I do not see why we shouldn't. I would definitely pencil him in.
I think with guys like Pollard who are no longer playing,
Yeah.
you need someone to really enforce the issue in the middle order.
And to be quite honest, he's shown some very, very good form. He's shown some very, very good form in this tournament. A beautiful catch being taken there by Allen. As you could see, Puran getting a score there of 65.
Yes.
Very, very important score. I might add, at the time I think he played again very, very well. Well, just doing Puran things, what we've known him to do. But again, the Trinidad team, they've been dominant. They've been very, very dominant. They've played, 7 games, 8 games? 7 games and lost 1. Right? And won
Standing
6,
on 12
right?
points.
Standing on 12 points. They've been very, very dominant. What do you make of that Trinidad team? What do you think is causing them to be so dominant?
A lot of persons put it down to experience, and there have been lots of jokes on social media that this is an aging team. And now we're just seeing the value of that experience. With a lot of those men in the twilight of the international career, and most of them have even retired because we will not see Pollard in West Indies colours anymore. We haven't seen Sunil Narayan in years. Alex
Colin
Hales is
Munro,
gone. Monroe is gone.
Mohamed Amir, all of
And
those guys.
even Puran has now
all
retired
those
at
guys are
29.
retired.
So is it a case where they have the full time to just focus on this tournament, to give everything to the Night Riders, knowing that they're on the twilight and just want to keep on pursuing excellence in the Caribbean? It could be that.
Yeah, but as much as those guys are retired, those guys that we call, they have been consistently playing cricket around the world in some of the most prestigious leagues. Guys like Pollard, if he's not playing, he's doing some mentorship with Mumbai in the IPL.
Yes.
Other than that, he's globetrotting, playing cricket in the different leagues. So it's not a situation where those guys are not actively playing, where they're sitting at home and they just got picked to play for the for TKR. Those guys are actively playing, right? They're actively playing cricket. So those guys coming into the tournament with a lot of cricket under their, a lot of cricket in coming behind them. So for me, I do believe the squad was put together very, very intelligently by Trinidad. They realized where they fell short in the last tournament, and I think they've addressed it. You look at their top order. They realize that they have not been able to get partnerships at the top order. They found a way to partner Monroe and Alex Hales. I think those guys have played for them before in previous tournaments. And so for me, I do think it's a well put together squad. I think where the areas that they thought they were weak in, they've addressed it, and they've tried to address it, and you could see it's working. So for me, when you look at every single area that they thought they were weak, they've strengthened. So they thought they were weak in the middle overs, they've strengthened that. Towards the back end, they didn't have that experience. They had Terence Hines actually closing off for them, right? Now they have they found the mystery spinner in
Usman Tariq.
Usman Tariq. You have Narayan, Akil Hussain, who's been doing fantastically well for them throughout the years. So I think they have all their bases covered.
It's true.
Again, we do think, well, during those tournaments, you obviously have teams that are more agile than them in the field. But to be quite honest, the same guys that have been retired, they didn't look too bad, and they haven't looked too bad in the field.
Pollard still looks great.
Exactly. They're still taking fantastic catches, still making some very, very good stops. So for me, the experience is key there. It's playing a part. Obviously, we're seeing that. I do not think that it's a situation where they are taking anything for granted. And they've been playing some very, very good, consistent cricket. And you could see that the youngsters that are in the squad are getting a lot more confident in themselves and their abilities. And they're looking like they're a lot more comfortable. When you look at guys like Nathan Edward enjoying his cricket, he's enjoying the cricket, and you could see, that he's playing this cricket with some passion. He's playing this cricket with a plan, and you could see the Bravo effect in terms of those guys having a lot more in their armory in terms of variation with their bowling. The slow balls coming on, the wide Yorkers, and those guys are a lot more at home playing the CPL. So for me, I think it has done a world of good for them having those experienced guys around, especially with the few youngsters that they have within their squad. But it's really good to see how they go about setting up games, how they go about playing. So kudos to them in terms of how they address their weaknesses, and I think they've worked assiduously to address their weaknesses, and we can see it's paying off. And it's not a tournament where they're actually playing back-to-back games, too many back-to-back games, so you could have an effect on the senior-most guys, or the guys that, the aging guys, the guys that are aging. So for me, I think it's a well-put-together squad. They have the experience, they have some youth. You can see guys like McKinney taking some beautiful catches in the field. So for me, it's a well-put-together squad, and you can see they're not taking anything for granted, and they're very, very serious about how they go about playing and how they go about planning. So that's kudos to them in terms of how they've gone about doing that. But when you look at the Barbados Royal squad, I want to talk about the Barbados Royals. They've not been able to kick off the tournament as they would have wanted. What do you think is the cause of that?
Where is the seniority at the top of the order? Barring Quinton de Kock, Byron Ruffman Powell in the middle to finish things off. Who really has the responsibility to put those massive totals? We have yet to see this team fire to post something that is extremely challenging. It's always something around the 170s, 180s. For a tournament like this, where 200 is knocking on the door consistently, you need to be in another realm. 200, 205, 210 to be challenging.
Do you think that the Barbados Royals is sort of in a rebuilding stage with the youngsters that they've had and the youngsters that they've given the opportunities? Do you think they regret letting guys like Jason Holder go, Alec Atanaz go? Do you think it's a situation? But I do think that there's a plan in terms of ensuring that they give these younger guys some more games, and hopefully in a couple of years that they look to dominate those tournaments. But they've been able to give quite a bit of youngsters some games. Anthony Allen is getting some opportunities batting at the top of the order. We've seen some scores from him. We've seen a glimpse of what he can do. But like I said, Brendan King has not been able to fire the way they
He's struggling, yes,
to.
he's
So
struggling.
he's struggling at the moment. So that is sort of putting some more pressure on their batting, knowing that they have a few youngsters within their squad. So the senior most guys have not been able to pull their weight as much as they would have liked. You have guys like Ruffman Powell, who's the captain, who's coming and obviously doing what we know that he can do. He's one of the bright spots for them in terms of their batting. So we've seen some good things from them. They've just not been able to find the right balance within their squad to end up putting up a fight and beating most teams. I don't think that they're still a little bit conflicted as to what they're playing, the strongest playing 11 is. I don't think so. So they're still in the works. I don't think I think they've played the least amount of games. They're home
4 games.
Yeah, so the home games are coming very, very soon. So they would have home advantage. Hopefully they could win some more games and make this tournament a lot more interesting. But let's go to the highlights with Guyana versus TKR.
This was built up to be the match of the tournament thus far.
Yes.
Curry chicken versus chicken curry.
That's a bit, that picture, as you can see, Akil Hussein got some turn here. That was a beautiful delivery.
Yeah, and Akil Hussein was a standout in this game, picking up a 3-4. And you just felt that for this sort of contest, the way it was built up, you needed a more challenging total on the ball to really make it a match.
Very much so. As you can see, Narayan getting
yeah, that was a very comical dismissal from Shea Hope. But this young man getting a game in the tournament, Samson.
Yep.
What did you make of him?
I think he started off really well. Getting the game in the tournament, I thought.
25 of 19, some lusty blows.
Yes. I think it's a good start for him to the tournament. I think he'll kick on from there. He's getting a bit of confidence. So what did you make of that 116 run partnership?
Yes, it was excellent. And again, it just underscores the value of experience. And speaking of experience, just look at Imran Tahir. He picked up wickets at crucial times.
He picked up 4 wickets.
So the only 4 wickets.
I thought that was a very good comeback from him.
Only 4 wickets fell, and all of them fell to the captain.
Yes. After going almost wicketless, did he go wicketless in St. Lucia?
He struggled in St. Lucia.
Yeah, he struggled in St. Lucia to come back. It just shows the experience as a seasoned campaigner, coming back and picking up 4 wickets in the following game. So it just goes to show, just put that game behind him and then just moving forward. But Guyana has not been, they've gotten, 2 defeats on the bounce.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a bit strange seeing them in this position.
Very, very strange. But again, you start off well, then you dip in the middle. Hopefully, do you think we'll see them sort of take it up a notch or bounce back towards the back end?
I just feel that as long as Guyana is in the top 4, you could never take them lightly.
Yes.
Given their reputation, serious record.
there's an opportunity also for this. I think the top 4 is still wide open.
Yes.
All right, there's an opportunity for
But Trinidad, I think, would have secured.
Trinidad is qualified. They've
Yes.
secured it, but the top 3 places, there's still a place for. So you see St. Lucia Kings on 10. Antigua has 1 more game, I presume, or 2. 1 more game it would be. So they win there. They could also end up,
2 more games.
Two more
It's going to be
games.
10.
Right? So 2 more games, they could, possibly end up and qualify. Guyana now has quite a bit of games to go, both them and Barbados. So I still feel like the top 4 is still wide open. St. Kitts might just struggle a little bit in terms of them being able to qualify, but they win the other 2 games. They carry themselves to 8 points, which would not be sufficient, providing the other teams are winning also. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that tournament go. But Guyana, if you look at the net run rate, Guyana is not in the negative.
Yes.
In the negative. You look at Antigua at 3, negative 1.07, and the other 2 are still in the negative. So that's a plus for Guyana. So they will probably go into, and they have their home games coming on soon, and we know how the crowd is how the crowd can be in Guyana. So, and it's putting them on. So I think the top 4 is still on the other 3 in terms of qualification is still wide open. I do think the other 3 games for the St. Lucia Kings would be very, very essential. They cannot afford to lose the other 3 games, because
Yes.
that means they will remain on 10 points, and then the rest of the teams could surpass them with them falling down on the leaderboard.
They would want to win at least one of those games.
One of those
to
games
get onto the 12 points.
To ensure they get onto 12 points. Tomorrow is an important game for them also. But we'll go on to the next highlight. Let's look at the Kings versus the Antigua Falcons.
Yes. And not to sound too much of a evolution, but this background, this backdrop, this stadium just looks beautiful.
It does. It does. You see 51 without loss. Beautiful catch being
That
taken
was
there
a top catch by
by
Rustin Chase.
Rustin Chase.
But I really
Now
admired the
Shakib
innings.
came in
Yeah,
well into
man.
the Shakib batted really well.
Admired that innings.
Very, very good inning. Very good inning. Quick fire 50 in just 20 balls.
Yeah, but Lanoport Gita was brought back into the team, much to the surprise of many people.
Very first time he bowled, matter of fact.
Yeah, was brought in as an all-rounder.
Good catch being taken there by
This man, Johnson Charles,
Johnson Charles.
the
A huge
posting
target
balls.
of 205, and St. Lucia came after that with a vengeance. Akimovic just missing the wrong one there.
That was a great catch for me. But this man, Tim Seifert, built on that form, getting
Yes,
100.
140 deliveries. Fantastic stuff by
Gary, what was that?
doing the dance there.
Gary,
making that
what
dance
is
very,
that
very
dance
popular.
about?
Very, very popular.
Gary, you have to tell us about that dance, man.
Well, I wouldn't know much about it. I wish I did. I wouldn't know much about it. Well, you can see he's just bringing it home, getting 125 from 53 deliveries, 206 for 4. Very commanding win in 17 point something overs. Very commanding win by the St. Lucia
Certainly
Kings.
was. And you just saw that picture there of the crowd in
Yes,
the background.
in
there.
the background. The
Persons really enjoyed themselves.
Now the dance is the dance in terms of what Tim Seifert
Yes.
did. It came from the Pitos Soca Stars winner,
Right.
right? So he's obviously learned that dance from the locals,
Yes.
as you can see, and then he's
The
made
dance.
himself a solution there.
Sweeping the nation. What's it called, Gary? The Wire?
The wire. Oh, you know. So Jamal said it's called the wire, and he was just doing the wire dance there.
Yeah.
But fantastic stuff by the St. Lucia Kings. Exactly what the St. Lucians would have wanted from them in terms of how they went about playing. like I said, they lost the first game and then they bounced back. They bounced back from that, so fantastic stuff from them. They're on the road now, so certainly Shorts and Notions would be hoping for them to win at least one or two of those home games, or all three, and to secure their place in the playoffs. But there's a lot of cricket to be played. Still early days in the tournament, well, the halfway stage of the tournament. So quite a bit of games to play still before we get to the business end. Before we get to the business end of the tournament. But fantastic stuff by SL Kings. Big 100 by the Tim Seifert, and sort of repaying the confidence shown in him by the staff, and hopefully that form continues. But as we let's go to the TKR. Is it TKR versus Patriots? TKR versus Patriots game.
So we had seen some good consistency from Monroe in the previous two games, but we got out early this time, and so did Hills. So you just felt that, okay, maybe the Patriots are in with a shout, dismissing the two batters who had done a lot of the damage, but then in walks Nicholas Puran and he's facing up to a left-arm spinner.
And that's the matchup that you would have wanted. Darren Bravo is getting 21 from 24 deliveries. Karen Pollard just coming to finish things off and taking them to something substantial.
It looked like the Pollard of old. That's the guy that we've missed in West Indies colours. Getting another half century in the tournament. And you mentioned about Puran, here we see another half century. Doing the business for his team.
Doing the business for his team. It's 180. In that chase, I do believe the Patriots, they were going really, really well in the beginning, the first half of that chase. 96 without loss in 10 overs, 126 for one, and then they started, the collapse started.
Ali Afanez might have to put that shot back in the locker. And there was a real squeeze, a real stranglehold.
Catch being taken there by McKenny Clark.
Is that McKenny Clark again?
Yes, beautiful catch being taken. They came on as a sub.
So Clark really pulling his weight in this Trinidad team. But this man again, Usman Tariq, is proving himself pretty difficult to get away.
Very, very difficult to get away. When you look at him and the Rhine bowling in the middle and towards the back end, that's a very, very difficult proposition for any team, especially playing in Trinidad, where those guys are able to extract, bounce, and turn from the surfaces there. It's very, very difficult. You add the lights of Hossein to that too. It's very, very, it's a very difficult proposition to get onto them. So for me, I do believe that the teams who could play spin best against Trinidad will also have an upper hand. Will also have the upper hand against them. But we've seen we've seen Pollard doing quite well. I'll ask you a question: if Pollard was to come out of retirement with the current form that he's showing, do you think he will get selected for the next T20 World Cup, Jamal? If you were the head coach and Pollard, let's say, comes in the top 5 in the aggregate in runs, would you be tempted to select him for the World Cup?
Would he need to get runs in the top 5 for him to be selected, given that volume of experience and you've seen recent form?
If you were the coach, if you were Darren Sammy and Pollard were to come out of retirement prior to the World Cup, and the form that he's been showing so far, the consistency that he showed so far in the tournament, would you have selected him to go to the World Cup?
And I'm playing in Sri Lanka,
spin conditions.
I remember that Pollard had terrorized Sri Lanka the last time that they were here. He hit 6 sixes in and over of Akila Dhananjaya. Leadership, help out Shea Hope. But I know that Darren Sammy picks his teams based on roles. So what would be his role? You have Rutherford.
Maybe a finisher.
You have Rutherford.
Because clearly he's finishing games up for Trinidad. Matter of fact, when they're chasing, even the last game against the Patriots, he was the one who actually set up something substantial for them to chase in terms of how he came in and batted. And when they came in the bat, they were about 113 in the 14th or 15th over, right? And then you put them on to 180 something, 180 odd. So would you have been tempted to come and maybe give him the role?
The
Give him a
temptation,
role within that squad.
so let me put it into context. The temptation is there because Russell just retired, so you've lost some seniority.
You've lost that.
So replacing some seniority there with someone who's even more experienced there, that's a good thing. But the caveat is if you're not going to give the players from the breakout league enough opportunity to even shine, then if something like that happens, then you might as well play him because you're not giving yourself an opportunity to see the youngsters.
So you would have selected him.
Give the guy the run.
All right. So
Let him go out
I
in
would
some
have
glory.
selected Paul if he comes out of retirement.
I just feel like
Matter
we're
of fact,
shooting ourselves.
amongst a tournament of quite a bit of youth in there. You know, I do think that he's really, really excelling. He's really, really showing that he has not lost.
He's just got
anything.
14,000 runs.
Yeah, he's not lost anything.
Second behind Chris
So
Gayle.
for me, the stats speak for itself. He's performing fantastically
performing.
well. And if that were to arise, then Darren would have some decisions to make. But we're due for a break. When we come back, we'll talk some more cricket. We'll be right back.
This September, the world's fastest, strongest and fiercest athletes converge on Tokyo. Over 2,000 competitors, nearly 200 nations, one global stage, one ultimate goal, glory. At the centre of it all, Commonwealth Games champion Sade Williams ready to strike World Championship gold. The drama, the passion, the unforgettable moments. Catch it all exclusively on Winners TV. World Athletics Championships Tokyo 25, September 13th to 21st. Be there when history is made, only on Winners TV, where champions play.
You can take control. Alcohol shouldn't be your designated driver. Poor judgment when driving can lead to deadly accidents. It can also lead to aggressive behavior, violence, or conflict with the law. The harmful use of alcohol does not only put you at risk, but other people around you. Think before you drink. Do you really need one more? This message is from the Substance Abuse Advisory Council Secretariat in collaboration with PAHO.
Need to open a bank account? There's no time to make the drive to stand in line. Get ready. Opening an account with Republic on board is easy from anywhere at any time, even while waiting for a food order. So you don't have to skip lunch. Republic on board. Fast, easy, secure. Visit www.republiconboard.com to open your account today.
Bright like the sun, yellow in the sky, blue like the ocean, expanding far and wide. Red like a snow cone, so nice and sweet. Green like a tree, bearing tasty fruit to eat. Kaleidoscope. That colors your world, captures your mood, captures your heart, captures your soul. Colors that last that won't fade away. When you color your way, color your way.
Don't just paint it, kaleidoscope it. Color your way.
Good night. Welcome back to more Cricket Nation. Prior to our break, we were discussing talking about the previous games, the games that have gone. Watch some highlights. We spoke about we didn't touch on. I wanted to touch on briefly just on the Antigua Falcons and how they've gone this year. Especially the game against the St. Lucia Kings, posting a total of 203. Do you think it was a situation where, well, the St. Lucian batters were really dominant, but what did you make of the bowling of the Antigua Falcons and how they went about in terms of their fielding generally? Because I do believe I did see some opportunities where they could have taken their catches, very, very important catches, I might add, that they did not hold, that could have changed the whole complexion of the game. So I do think that is something that they need to work on too. But their bowling, we do believe that St. Lucian was just all over their bowlers. What do you think that they could have done better?
Well, in all fairness, all bowlers really came in for some serious treatment on that batting paradise at the Darren Sammy. The wicket is actually splendid. I think that a good toss to win by the Kings to have allowed for the Falcons to take first knock, knowing that the batters would have seized the opportunity on a pitch which gets better for batting. So on that day, I couldn't really fault the bowling departments too much. because the wicket was just very flat. And in the absence of the level of variety, like a TKR with a lot of the mystery spinners, or like St. Lucia with someone like a Shamsi who can deceive people with back of the hand variation, sliders and so on. In the absence of someone who can do that with consistency and skill, they would have always struggled.
We have not seen too much bowling from Fabian Allen. We have not seen him. I'm not sure if I've seen him bowl in this year's tournament at all. I'm not sure if there's an issue fitness-wise in terms of him bowling, but I do think he can be an asset for them bowling left-hand spin. In other editions, I think he's done really well with the ball. I think in terms of having opportunities to bowl more regularly, I think he's a better bowler than we think. Obviously, I've seen that he's done really, really well at the times that his ball is able to spin the ball, he's able to vary his pace, and he's able to read the batters very, very well. So maybe it's something that the Falcons can explore if he's not injured or if he can bowl. Because I do think that they're really, really missing out on some crucial overs that I think could go very, very economically.
And the other factor for me is that the absence of a Justin Greaves. We knew that this had made a big row across cricketing circles because Paul Nixon is not pleased that he was not informed of the injury of Greaves. So now this is someone that they would have been looking forward to, who had done well on the international circuit. He would have provided some crucial overs and then some big hitting and some tactical batting, because this is a man who bats with composure, maturity, and class.
He's been in the international setup, so he would bring that sort of experience to the squad also. And knowing and seeing what he's done for the West Indies in recent times, I think that's a huge asset that they're missing out on. Hopefully they've rectified it. They've rectified the issue.
Also, Rakim Cornwall, another international player, he hasn't fired.
Yeah, he hasn't fired, and he's not been able to play. But I do think, for me, I put in my coaches that I probably would have dropped him a little earlier than they did, because I did not feel that he was firing enough for them at the top of the order. Maybe they could have given opportunities to other players a lot earlier than they did. But with that being said, we let's look at the games to come. We're 20 games in, 19 games in, right? Game 20, let's look at the Kings plays against the TKR tomorrow. Tell me, what should the Kings do to get the best of TKR? So far, TKR has been able to get the best of the Kings.
Well, for sure it has to be a mindset, because Trinidad was able to breach the fortress of the Kings at home.
Yes.
So the mindset has to be that they're going to return the favor in Trinidad. They will certainly be up against it, because the home advantage for Trinidad there is something to behold. And Trinidad is a team, they have picked up momentum at the right time. They didn't start off well, but as you had mentioned, you informed the viewers that teams who generally pick up in the middle towards the end generally have the best chance of winning the tournament. Now, all the senior and aging, all of these terms flying around the place, the fact of the matter is these batters are now in form. We've seen consistency from Monroe, from Hales, half centuries. Casey Carty registered half century. Nicholas Puran registered half centuries in the tournament. So the top four has been delivering on potential. Pollard, Russell has been coming in there to smoke it, and he's been bowling well. Plus the bowling has picked, because you have Akil Hussain, who picked up a 3-4 in the previous game. You have Usman Tariq, who we did not play well at all. Even on a flat pitch, the St. Lucian Kings batters did not handle him well, much less on the turning track. Now, we've seen that he is not impregnable. He can go in for some treatment. Jason Holder showed us that. So the Kings need to be brave when facing up against him.
I think bravery is key.
Yes.
And not when they're playing against the Trinidad, and being able to take calculated risk against the spinners. I think it's a game where you have to play with a lot of intelligence to make sure that you're one step ahead of the Trinidad team. But you use the right word. They have to be brave when they are coming up against guys like Tariq and Hussain and what do you call him? Guys like Hussain and Narayan. We've seen the bravery that they've shown chasing scores.
Yes.
We've seen the bravery that they've shown, so we do know that they have it within their squad. Now they're playing away from home, they're going to be on the road, so that is something that they would need, obviously, to get over, to get the best of Trinidad. But both Trinidad and St. Lucia is coming off of some momentum, they're coming off of wins, so it is going to be a very, very exciting game. I do believe the toss is quite essential.
Yes.
Again, over in Trinidad. So I do think it's a wonderful match for the people who are going to be attending and for people to watch, because I think it's two of the strongest teams that we've seen so far, the teams that have been able to play the most consistent cricket. That's the St. Lucia Kings and TKR. So I do believe that we're in for a treat. I can't wait to see how this game unfolds.
It's going to be something special.
Yeah, it is going to be.
But I have to ask you, Gary, to put your coach's hat on. In terms of the 11 for the Kings, I think the viewers would want to know, because in the last game in St. Lucia, we saw a number of changes. Alzari came in. We brought back the South African Port Gita. What do you think would be the best 11 to take on Trinidad in their home conditions?
Well, I'm certainly sure when you look at their bench, do they have any other spinners? Maybe Mackenzie, which is the leggy, would you expose him to a team like Trinidad, playing his very, very first game? We have seen what the pitch is able to do. The spinners are able to extract spin over in Trinidad. We've seen, in the previous games that they played. Now, a couple of games have played over there, so we do expect the pitch to bounce and turn over there. We know that Trinidad are playing most of their spinners, if not all of their spinners. St. Lucia now have one spinner left in the tank, and I do think that is the likes of Mackenzie, which is the guy, talented youngster from the Breakout League.
Yes.
Do they expose him there? Are they confident enough to expose them, or do they just keep the very same 11 that has been able to get them wins? Albeit that it has been sort of, they changed it here and there. Keon Gasto did not play in the last game. Do they continue with that squad? For me, in terms of they scored 203 on that bowling. Do you keep it like that? You have guys that with the likes of Sadrak on the outside. I think Port Gator, when he came in bowling his 4 overs, I think it was very economical. I think he did very well in terms of using his variations and whatnot. So I think he's earned himself another game there in terms of how he's been able to perform. But I do think they're probably going to keep the same 11.
Interesting, because
I do think they're probably going to keep the same 11. I'm not seeing who else they're going to bring. Ocean didn't play.
Ocean did not play.
He did not play. So Ocean did not play. Port Gaita came in for Glaston. So I do think they will keep the very same 11. The same 11 that they have there. The same 11 that played against Antigua. And back themselves with that squad. Back themselves with that squad. So yeah, man. I do feel they will keep that very same squad, and hopefully see how they could plan against the batters and try to get the bowlers to execute their plans against the Trinidad batters. But we know how dangerous they could be. So like I said, we are in for a treat in terms of seeing the two most consistent teams so far in this tournament play against. They go head to head against each other. So it's also top of the table clash.
Yes, it is.
It's also a top of the table clash. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what happens tomorrow. Next game would be Guyana Amazon Warriors against Barbados Royals. Two teams who are struggling at the moment. They come off the back of 2 losses. What do you make of that?
Like we said, it's a bit unusual to see the Guyana Amazon Warriors struggling. It's not a phrase that matches up with their reputation. And the Royals would want to capitalize on exactly that, because they would see themselves in a similar position and would tell themselves that this is their time. This team is wounded for the first time in a long time, and it is their time to actually pounce.
And I do believe that Barbados will be playing them at home. So they're actually going to Barbados to play against Barbados. So Barbados will have home advantage. like I said, they're coming off of both teams not high on confidence currently. They obviously coming off of 2 losses, but Barbados has home advantage.
Yes.
And so hopefully that works for them, and they could kick off their campaign. Guyana will also be looking to win this game to go to kick off their home campaign and start it off with a win, going back at home with some form of confidence and with a win. So that would be a very, very interesting game also. And like I said, I do believe that Guyana, it's a bit unusual to see how Guyana is playing currently.
Yes.
But again, like you just said, whoever plays, and I've said it on countless occasions, if they are able to get some form towards the middle and back end of the tournament, then I think that would be very, very good for them. Let's look at that. The next matchup, game 22, would be the Royals versus the Falcons. Antigua Falcons, that's a very important game for them also, to end up getting sort of taking a claim for a place in the playoffs.
2 more
currently
games.
At third.
Yes, 2 more games remaining for them.
Yes, so
they would
two
need,
very, very
they
important
would need
games.
to win both.
They would need to win both to stay in there. So another very important game. So towards the latter part of the tournament, all of those games are becoming very, very essential for players. So for teams, look at game number 23, TKR versus the Warriors. I'm thinking, well, that game would be playing in Guyana. So Guyana would have had the home crowd behind them. Maybe they could have something else up the sleeve. Trinidad might be able to rest a few players, knowing that they've already qualified. So that probably might give Guyana an opportunity to, see if they could.
You just feel
get
like
a win.
The rivalry is so thick that there is no way that Trinidad will rest the top guns for this encounter.
Yeah, I think they would want to win every single game going into the playoffs. But you never know. They might look to see if they could give a couple guys who have not been able to play, a game here and there, knowing that they've already been able to, they've already qualified.
But are there incentives for qualifying as the top seed?
Very much
in
so.
the group?
Very much so. So for me, when you look at this squad, they've been very consistent with their playing 11. I might add.
Yes.
They've been very consistent with that. So far, they have no setbacks in terms of injuries. So it looks like they're going to continue with that squad, knowing their head coach, he would want to win every single game. Yes. Every single game, and I'm certainly sure the Trinidad players and Poran, the leader, would obviously want to go into the playoffs on a winning note. So let's look at game number 24, right? The Royals will take on the Kings in Barbados. Another important game for the Kings, right? Another important game for the Royals. Like I said, the Royals would obviously looking to kick off their campaign. That would probably be their second or third game at home that they would be playing against the Kings.
Yes, unfortunately, they were supposed to have had their head-to-head in St. Lucia, but this was a really ineffective game.
Yes.
So they have not gotten a chance to size each other up in contest as yet. Yeah. So this would be their first opportunity to do so. So you just don't know what to really expect in terms of the matchups. Yeah. But then both teams would be hungry for that win. The Kings would want to win to qualify at the top of the table.
Yes, yes.
And Barbados, they would just have in their minds that if we can just get things started, we can actually mathematically make it somewhere near the top of the table and qualify.
Yeah, but it could be a very difficult proposition for the Kings, depending on Barbados' situation coming into that game. Because if Barbados would have won both of their home games, playing against the Kings in their third home game or fourth home game, there might be a lot more difficult proposition for the Kings, because you have now, you have a team who would have been very, very high in confidence playing at home. So, they would have to play very, very well to beat that Barbados team. All right, we move on to game number 25, where the Warriors would take on the Patriots. Do you think the Patriots have a chance of qualifying?
I think that the mathematics is definitely against them.
Against them, very much so.
Right. The amount
Guyana, on the other hand, have every chance of qualifying for the final stages. So Guyana is only, like we said, we put that up earlier, but Guyana has only played 4 games. Barbados Royals have only played 4 games. So they have quite a bit of games in hand coming towards the back end of the tournament. So there's every chance for them to sort of qualify. As you can still see the St. Kitts pictures. They have 2 more games left. That would take them to 8 points if they were to win those 2 games. So it would be very, very difficult for them to qualify ahead of any of the teams there. Mathematically, like you said,
Guyana would have to have a horror show of a performance and lose every other game.
So to Barbados.
And so to Barbados, yes, for St. Kitts to have a real sniff. Now that is unlikely because they must play against each other.
Yes, yes.
So unless if the Patriots team they're praying for rain, they can only get a 1 point bump, then the mathematics just does not support the Patriots for yet another season in the CPL.
Yes, yes.
It's going to be a real tussle for that 4th spot.
They would have to look to come back next year to see. Well, they would want to finish off on a high, and then look to rebuild on what they've done this year.
But we've always been saying that concerning them. But where has been the rebuilding?
Yeah,
they got a good player.
Well, they did bring Afanes.
But have they given him opportunities in the right place?
I don't think he was injured. Well, maybe he was injured for a couple of games. We didn't see him in a few games. Maybe that was injury. But did he get opportunities, like you said, batting in the right position, and maybe a lot more thought need to be put into how they go about selecting or drafting their squad together. But again, I do think they had a really, really good squad. You look at the top 6, like we said, we mentioned earlier, but their batters have just not been able to fire like they would have wanted. You could see the other teams in terms of the St. Lucia batting, the top 4, top 5, top 3, top 4. They are able to. They have been able to fire for the Kings, so that makes a world of difference.
Yes.
And the Patriots have just not been able to do that. So for me, it is something that they would look at. I'm certainly sure they would love for their players to have been in much better form whilst coming into the tournament. Like I said, Fletcher has been doing Fletcher things. Like I said, he's been starting off well towards the middle. When the power play is done, he sort of slows down in the middle overs. Maybe something that he needs to work on. But the likes of Evan Lewis and the other batters have not been able to put their hands up. Kyle Mayers, who transferred to that squad, got the transfer to that squad, have not been able to deliver the goods for the Patriots. But like I said, there's still 2 more games for them. If they able to win those 2 games, then coming to finish this year's tournament, on a high. Jamal, it's always nice talking cricket with you. We had thoroughly enjoyed my time talking CPL cricket with you. Lots of games to be played still before we get to the qualifying stages. It'll be very, very interesting to see how those games pan out. Like I said, the table, the top 3, the top 4 is still wide open.
Yes, it is.
So there's still opportunities. Yeah, still opportunities. We are now, Jamal, in Barbados. So shout out to the viewers in Barbados watching the show. Antigua, also we're in Antigua. So shout out to the viewers in Antigua also watching the show. We appreciate the support. Also in St. Lucia, our viewers watching the show, different areas. I know in Monrepo, shout out to the viewers in Monrepo, where I'm from. They continually support the show. Also, I'm certainly sure most people in St. Lucia look at the show. I know we have 2 guys from Denry, Jadi, who also take in the show and love watching the show. Quite a few people enjoy the show. So thanks for that support, Jamal. For that support.
Yes.
Continue watching the show and providing that support. We appreciate it.
Yes, for sure. It's been an amazing leg in St. Lucia and Barbados.
Yes.
Your turn is coming, so come out in your numbers to support your home team. You just get a sense that if they can turn it around in the home leg, it's going to be an even more interesting CPL.
Yes. If they're able, and that's right. If they're able to take advantage of home turf, I do think it would be a very, very, very interesting CPL. So to Guyana, if Guyana is able to take advantage of home turf when they go at home, it's going to be a very, very interesting top 4 in
Yes.
terms of how the CPL turns out. So exciting times. We look forward to the rest of the games. This is where I say good night and enjoy the rest of the CPL. Obviously, we are here every Tuesday night, and we'll come back and talk some more cricket in terms of the games that have been played. Anything before we go?
Just want to say good night to the viewers. Keep supporting good cricket.
Yes, very much so. Keep supporting good
But you
cricket.
know, Gary, we need to, as the tournament goes on, we need to pencil our names for the World Cup squad based on the CPL.
Yes, yes. Well, we have to do that. Yeah, we'll pencil our names. So by the time the CPL is concluded, we'll have our squad and we'll see how Darren goes about selecting his squad. You did say that you are going to select Kyron Pollard if he does come out of retirement the way that he's playing. But this is where we say good night and have a wonderful night. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Night.